I should have known this guy was going to be a problem because he checked the boxes of a problematic customer, but somehow he finessed me. And I'm going to tell you guys how that went down and the signs that he was giving that should have alerted me he was going to be a problem. And I'm going to tell you guys how to avoid it. That way, if you ever run into a customer like this or a prospective customer like this, you can know right away that it might be not worth your time even putting in an estimate. Before we get too far, I want to thank today's sponsor, Jobber. Jobber's a CRM software that I use to run all my businesses, and I'll talk about why they're so great for small business owners like you and me later in this video. Okay, so now let's talk about this problem customer that got me to do a job and really just caused me a whole lot of grief and a huge headache. And I should have known because he showed the classic signs of a problematic customer, but I kind of overlooked them, and I'm not sure why. And that's something I'm going to have to figure out on my own, right? So the first indicator that he might be a problem was he did not ever answer my phone calls. Every time I would call him, he would just text me back. All of the communication up until the actual estimate and even after the estimate was all text messages and emails. And sometimes I feel like it's just better to go ahead and give the guy a call. I can explain to him, he can hear my tonality, and it just kind of creates a level playing field for both parties involved. But this guy he would never answer my calls. And that's something that should have just said right away. You know, it's a lot quicker sometimes to just go ahead and get a 2 or 3 minute phone call out of the way, because a 2 or 3 minute phone call can turn into like dozens of text messages that don't come back on time. So this was the first indicator that we were going to potentially have communication issues throughout the duration of this project. So another thing that always gets to me when I'm doing an estimate was when the customer will say, oh, I usually do all my own painting myself, or I painted hundreds of houses when I was in college, or something along those lines, right? Because for whatever reason, everybody, and I'm guilty of this too, but everybody thinks that they're the best at what they do, right? I mean, at least a big majority of people think that they're the best and that they know more about it than I do. And that's should have been the second red flag, right? Why would you call a professional in to do a project if you're the expert, right? And so I feel like he called me in to just like maybe fluff his own balloon about how good a painter he was. But either way, I get it. And the thing is, it's not like he was an older gentleman. Like, he was the same age as I was. So he's perfectly capable of climbing up and down on a ladder and getting down on his hands and knees to get a project done, right? So that's always, for me, is another red flag that I just kind of overlooked. I thought I was just chumming up with the guy and we were all good. I'm again overlooking another red flag. So to make a long story longer, I give the guy a price. He agrees on the price. I tell him, hey, it's going to be about a 2 or 3 day project from start to finish. And everything was good. So I said, hey, I said, here's a potential start date, because we had talked about his timeline. And we agreed on a time. The day before I'm supposed to show up at night, like about 8 o'clock, the night before I was supposed to show up at his house, he calls me and wants to reschedule. The night before I'm supposed to show up, because he was on vacation and they just decided they wanted to stay one more night out of town. So that's another red flag. I mean, the guy seriously does not have any respect for my time. He doesn't value my time at all. Even though when he called me, I came out in a timely manner to give him an estimate, and he just kind of completely disregarded. And a vacation is something you have planned in advance. So I would be willing to bet he knew he was going to be on this vacation before we even scheduled the project. So that was kind of a bummer as well. And I really should have known right then and there to cancel the project, but I didn't. So I gave in. I agreed to start the project on a later date after he gets home. And he also didn't want to start the project on the day that he gets home, right? So it's like I had to wait an extra 2 days. So when we finally get on the project to start, I had to bring in help, because now, in order to keep my schedule on point, I have to bring in extra help to get this job done a little bit faster, which brings us to the final problem, the main problem that I could have avoided if I would have just saw the red flags. So at the end of the job, it took us 2 days, less than 2 full days, really. It was like an 8-hour day and a 6-hour day. So even way less than 2 days. I told the guy 2 to 3 days. So get this. At the end of the job, when it's time to pay, I bill him. He doesn't pay. A week goes by. He doesn't pay. I reach out. This is the third time reaching out in a friendly way to be like, hey, you know, it's time to settle up your bill, in so many words. So then he wants to say, hey, we need to talk about the price. And in my head, I'm like, we don't need to talk about the price. We've already agreed on the price and the job's done, and now you don't want to pay. So I ask him, in what regard do you want to talk about the price? And he says, well, you told me it was going to be a 3-day project and it only took you less than 2 days. So I want to be compensated at like a discount on the original price you gave me because it took you less time. Now, you guys know as well as I do, I don't charge by the hour. He didn't call me out there and ask me how much I charge for an hourly to paint this project. He wanted a price. I gave him a price. He agreed on the price. I told him the amount of time it would take, basically as a courtesy, so he could plan around me being there and kind of taking over his living space for a few days, right? Most people would be excited that you got done sooner than you had said in the beginning. But anyhow, the guy finally paid me after much headaches and me showing him the contracts and all the paperwork that he had signed, which is why it's really important to document all your projects. Which is a great segue into talking about today's sponsor, which is Jobber. And that's the software that I use on my desktop and my mobile phone to manage all my projects from beginning to end. I love Jobber because it's with me throughout the whole process, from estimating to submitting a quote and to getting paid. Jobber is more than just a software. Jobber is very dedicated to small business owners like you and me, and I know this because of the Jobber Summit. Jobber Summit is a free online event where small business owners and management teams like us can learn from industry experts to help strengthen our business and leadership skills. This totally free virtual event will have more than 25 expert speakers and 12 plus sessions of useful advice to help strengthen your leadership skills. You're going to hear from featured speakers like Alex Rodriguez, the chairman and CEO of A-Rod Corp. And a former MLB player. There'll be thousands of home service business owners and teams that will be attending this. They'll have 2 different sessions, one in the morning and one in the evening, so you can choose which time works best for you. And there'll be live networking to connect with thousands of other service professionals just like you and just like me. So get ready to take notes because Jobber Summit's going down on March 1st and it's free. I'll be attending and you should too. So head to the link in the description below to register for free. And I'll see you there. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up and put red flags in the comment section if you guys made it this far in the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.